Hello and welcome to my Pillars of Eternity blind playthrough. And last episode we went to the Mogrekien to somehow finish the last quest or last quest before finishing every single quest and the White March expansion 2. So it really looks like there are both expansion now finished, and only things which we need to finish is to get into the Burial Isle. So if everything goes right, this might be the last episode. So enjoy. So here we are and in, and I will probably use the same party as before. So the Cypher, Durance, Devil of Karok, Kana, Adair, and Alotha. So, because we traveled more than 70 hours here from in the last episode, it's time to get a little bit sleep. But let's do this first. This one is interesting, and this one is much better than the fireball. And this. And I think this will be it for changing the spells. Okay, so we are ready. Let's go.
Good day, stranger.
To bed. Welcome back. Is there anything I can do for you? I'm always glad to see a new face. Take a seat where you like, my friend. It seems to me you walk a long road. All are welcome here, and those with interesting stories, most welcome of all. You kind of forgotten that we already seen each other, but yeah, I'd like a room, please. Of course, something with a new, nice view, yes? This is the best choice. And there is also one thing which I really wanted to do. And to check, we have now Exceptional Ancient. So we can do this, because we got in the last episode 2 Bog Dragon Scales from the Quest of Phylactery. And this might be very helpful. Plus 4 more to damage reduction for Devil. Okay.
Certainly.
We can go. to Burial Isle. Okay, the closest way is this way. First to Old Song and then go to ship. Here we go. And one more thing which I need to check before getting anywhere further. Well, let's do this as well. Kraken Eye. Wow, I didn't knew that I have it in my inventory. Perfect. Let's try it out. Oh! A new achievement, Legendary Enchanter. Perfect. And finally go to the Burial Isle. Okay, looks like that the enchant needed both. Oh,
I remember when I was a girl, and the missionaries came and told us about the gods. They said we could see them in the stars. I remember when I heard that, I snuck out at night and climbed the watchtower in the old fort because I wanted to see them better. That fort burned down a few years ago when we cast the missionaries out. It was the missionaries who set fire to it. They didn't want us to be able to use it. Shame. There was history in that fort.
that fort had outlived its use. It was false sense of security. It was that, for me, as much as anyone. Seeing it burn, it made me think. She looks at you. This is your home as much as it is mine. Do you worry about it? I've been through worse. I try to remind myself of that. It's nice to have the reinforcement.
I miscalculated many things since this began. I'm relieved you weren't one of them. It's a good thing we didn't hang you. I always knew this path would have consequences, but I never wanted to see Kratom suffer on my behalf. I don't think I can stay here any longer. I am told the Inquisition is gathering an army, that they have sent messengers to bargain with rulers from distant lands. Kratom is not built to withstand a siege. If war is coming, I should be doing what Thaos is doing. I will need allies. Allies in a stronghold that can resist an invading army.
You can feel words formed long ago, rising in your throat like a toxic black bile. Have you thought about Oceanus?
Oceanus. They have held off many would-be invaders, and their king has no love of the Inquisition's faith. I wonder, would he listen?
Okay, another look into the past. And what I was talking about, yeah, right. Looks like the achievement for this enchantment needed both enchants on your armor and your weapon. So, yeah, we can try to continue up the hill. What's this? Oh, I took it. Let's see if there are more like this. And maybe if it's useful or not. The next are here. So let's see.
Hey.
One more soul for
Certainly.
the Watcher. Another one. Is that it? Well, let's try to walk around. If this has any meaning or not, I have absolutely no clue. Probably not, but... Okay, all I need to do...
Another turn, Inquisitor.
Thaos signals some unseen attendant standing beside a large crank.
I ask again, Jovara Ixensios, do you confess to these heresies of which you stand accused?
He waits, but Jovara only states straight ahead, her face stony, the creak of her restraints the only sound.
Do you confess to apostasy?
I confess to renouncing a mistake.
Do you confess to conspiracy against the one true faith?
I confess to opening minds.
Do you confess to false prophecy?
I confess to following a false prophet.
Indeed. And where might we find this heretic?
He wears the robes of a Grand Inquisitor.
You have no followers here, heretic. Your lies hold no sway in the court of the penitents.
Only my truth, then.
Another turn.
Wait! Wait! I'm ready. I'm ready.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
Thaos shakes his head and points at the Inquisitor, and the scraping grin of rusted gears echoes in your mind as the apparition fades away. Okay, no more cells here. And what I was talking about was that I really need to remember what was the thing which I promised to Hylia. I allowed the dragon to stay. I revealed Hylia that the creature had come seeking a safe place to raise its offerings, and that the creatures as well deserve a chance at life. She seemed to agree. Let's see. Oh, I swore to Hylia that I would return to the soul to Hollowborn children. She gave me her power. So this is what I need to fulfill as my promise. Good. And the only way how to get inside is jump into the hole. A great pit lies in the shadow of the statue of Boudica. No light from the surface reaches the bottom, but even so, you catch flickers of a ghostly glow in the depths. A wind from the pits buffets you. It isn't cold, but it rises gooseflesh along your arms. The wind carries whispers, low and sibilant. As you look into the pit, souls gather around you. They encase you in a cloud of essence that swirls around your body while you consider your next move. Jump into the pit. You jump, trusting in the promises of the gods and the power of the souls to bear you safely down. The sudden drop takes your breath away, but the souls catch you, encasing you in a shining, thrumming aura. But while they slow your descent, you can still feel that you are falling faster than you should. The essence flowing around you is strong but chaotic. You find yourself drifting toward the wall. Nearby Kana drifts downward at a rapid pace, carried by another glowing stream of souls. Ah, why did I ever agree to this? Kana flies outward briefly, then steadies, holding his arms out for balance. It's hard to keep, Mamulian. Look out. The wall. Reach for a companion. You reach out and feel a hand strong and lure wrap around your forearm. It tucks you away from the wall just as you feel your toe graze something. You manage to spread your arms and legs into an X, steadying your positions and the rate of your descent. You reach the court of the penitents, millennia-old stones, safely under your feet. And another achievement. Completed Act 3. Your party is considered a high level for the content in Act 4. Would you like the critical path can be if you would like, the critical path can be increased in difficulty to give you more of a challenge. The rewards you receive will be the same regardless of the option you choose. Your choice cannot be changed once it has been selected. So let's do the high level.
After what seems like an eternity,
Your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through, now barely a speck of light like some distant star alone in the cosmos and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
And here we
That
are.
went better than I expected. Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me then.
That was bracing.
Looks like all my parts are still moving.
Okay. I chased Thaos into Breath Eaman. There's no turning back now. And I survived the fall to the bottom of the pits of the Court of the Penitents. Okay, the last quest. Enter Sun in Shadow. I have done as the Delamgard advised. I have been carried safely into the depths of Braid Eman with the blessing of the gods, who would have me stop Thaos before he sends the souls of Deerwood's Hollowborn to be consumed by his goddess, Vodika. Whether or not that happens, we would seem to have unfinished business, and I need to find him as soon as I can. The whispers in my mind are louder now, and no amount of rest is any relief. By the time I reach him, I may be as lost as Merwald was. I have survived the fall from the top of the Court of Penitence. The path before me leads through the Anguitans' eternal prison. And if the Delmagan sisters spoke true to this Sun in Shadow, where Thaos is bound.
Laying low.
Okay. So, we survived the fall and all the companions are alive. And we
You
found
gotta see this.
a secret. Okay. Let's use this and Constitution +3. Is it useful for someone? Oh, we already have this. So Constitution +2. And let's check it there. Okay, and one more check on him. He has iron circle, so I'll give it to Adair. Okay. Let's search a little bit more.
Ain't that special?
Another. And looks like that's it. Oh, traps everywhere.
You gotta see this.
A millennium's worth of dust fills in the cracks and crevices of the skeletal relief. Same on the second pillar. Cell other prison. And Spectre.
Brave Thaos.
Let's use this. And you.
Brave Thaos.
Well, it didn't work on the undead paralyze. Good to know. I haven't played with Kana much the game, so I do not know much about his skills, to be honest. The pill looks at your essence, a pulse from the world itself moves through it.
Certainly.
So, let's search this a little bit
Ain't that special?
and hope we will be able to disarm all the traps lying around. And another Spectre.
Brave Thaos.
Let's do this again. Okay, other animat will be needing this, and you, let's try to no, let's do. Hopefully there is no trap.
Keeping an eye out.
Probably not.
Certainly.
Another trap.
Oh, look at here.
We'll go there a little bit later.
Certainly.
Okay, let's go this way first. And another other animat. Let's see.
Varathis! Brave.
Good. And
That's not
this should be working for now. Okay, first is down. Let's get this one. And let's see if this works on constructs. It worked on that one. Good.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Nothing new or
Certainly.
special. The ancient address still bears the impression of the 1,000 souls broken upon it. Your souls burns with remembered suffering. Let's see if this is trapped or not.
Oh,
Yes.
look at here.
Morning Star. Okay, I should have waited to get the enchantment. Let's see. Like 1 perception, 1 wrestle, and 1 dexterity. Well. Oh, it's Morningstar. I'm using flail. Okay. So, not waste it. Good. What was the Morningstar? Destroy spirits on hit. Or critical hit. That might be a good one. But does Other still use? Nope. He doesn't use Morningstars anymore. Let's get here.
To whispers and shadows.
Brave thou feel not.
You... Again, this...
Brave thou feel not believe. Not even slowing it down.
Laying low.
One more trap.
That'll do.
These are a little bit less dangerous. The pillar looks at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it. Okay, I forgot +2 lore. Oh, nothing very special. Another other animat.
Brave thou
You do this. And you again this.
not even slowing it down!
Okay, where are you? Still doing this. Someone is healing them? Let's finish them this way.
I have...
I still have one more. Let's do this and... you...
Following you.
let's use this.
Following.
Okay, it worked.
To whispers and shadows.
Some of the spells or chants Kana is using are really powerful compared to other characters.
Certainly.
That's why I started to use him a little bit more after finishing few of the quests. But not my favorite character, to be honest.
If you say so. Got it done.
Ah, just exceptional armor. Another soul, other person. A column of Radra rises above you, stoic and silent. Its rigid layers a measure thick for the passing of ages. It feels to you as a thick block of ice, and you perceive buried deep in its core a dim, flickering flame, all but extinguished yet preserved against the ravages of the elements. At your approach, the flame seems to steady and draw strength, and the layers separating it from your melt away, and you are bathed in its glow, a bright beacon in the gloom. The glow seems to fade as though you had adjusted to its intensity, and where it was, Oyowara seeps into existence, and idyllic shade hovering above the moist prison floor. Though ageless, she appears somehow different to you now. A slight stoop of her carriage, perhaps, or a trace of sunkenness in her eyes. There is a broad scar across her face, fibrous and wormy, where flames once leapt, unhealed even in death.
My old pupil. You are a welcome sight, but a worrying one as well. Do you still wander lost in the darkness after all these many years? You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with the new face. What is it that has brought you here?
I'm here to free you.
A gallant gesture, if a bit misguided. And yet I suspect there is more to this than you have said. I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Thaos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
Thaos diverted from the cycle. He seeks to empower Vodica and to blame Animancy for the damage he's caused.
After all this time, he would still stand against the tide.
You knew me when Thaos did. There's something I need to know about the time.
I will tell you what I remember.
There's something about the lifetime my souls can't let go of. I need to know what it is, and I'm running out of time. I see moments from that life. Of you, of the Inquisition, of Thaos.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
And what was that? Iovara's mouth tightens and her brow furrows. A look of pity. Her eyes shift back and forth between each of yours, as if looking for something that would help her decide whether to speak.
That the gods aren't real.
I'd dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it. And yet, it almost feels like a relief. She's not serious.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution. There's a theory puts my boldest to shame. But we ourselves have seen the gods' influence.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
How did you discover this?
The Anguithan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them, and in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried. I heard enough. I investigated the things they spoke of, and everything was there, just as they said it be.
Later on, after I left the Order, a few Anguithans found my words persuasive and joined my cause. They revealed what I did not already know. Who created these gods, and for what?
They were conceived by Enguith, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Thaos' people. In their time, every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, the Anguithans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators. Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secrets. One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found. Or if there ever were, they were gone. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers. And with their mastery, They crafted their own gods to fill the void, and sent missionaries to the corners of the world to spread their faith.
This is why you started your own faith?
I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. That was my faith. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine.
Is it true what you thought?
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Thaos directs these souls, you will see for yourself as you once did. Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, they deny themselves an identity of their own.
Yovara scans her audience in silence, her eyes thoughtful, lingering on each member of your company in turn, finding interests in things unseen.
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
That's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
I have seen with my own eyes the deceptions of my goddess. The Watcher has shown me as much. But it was not until now that I understood how truly desperate she was. The depths of her deception.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? Or was it the absence of her words? A gap that you filled with your own broken thoughts?
Beads of sweat coalesce Duran's forehead and trickle down the sides of his face in streaming rivulets, as though he were a block of ice standing before a great pyre.
What if you had always been alone, without guidance?
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides, I suppose it would be a comfort to know that I'm free of them.
The freedom has always been. It was the guidance that was the illusion. If all our common threads are spun from a lie, what's left to bind us together?
All of us across Aora are trying to survive, to make sense of the world. What could better bind us together than that struggle? We'll find our own truths. Make them if we must. We don't need an ancient lie to bolster us. United, the Angwithans created gods. Mortal men and women coming together to do the impossible. Let us surpass them.
She looks at the Devil of Karok, whose eyes gleam coldly and a pale glow.
What if your body is destined to outlive your purpose?
And keep me caged up? Like you? I ain't gonna let my soul go to rot in this thing.
You may have little choice in the matter, but as to your purpose, that choice is yours.
You feel the weight of Yovara's translucent eyes upon your soul. What if we can be assured of nothing? then the only value is in the things we create ourselves.
There is bliss to be found in the things we create, but sorrow as well. Every creation bears the imperfections of its creator, and its creator's creator. Art and song are creations, but so are weapons and lies. We must be careful that our creations do not consume us. I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
We do. Even without assurance, there is still truth.
If that is truly what you believe, then you are a far different person than the one I knew. I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand.
For the first time, hints of doubt trace her serene visage.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
As she asks, the memories spring to your mind immediately, as though it had just happened. I was afraid of what Thaos might do to me if I didn't agree to do it.
Woodica gifted him a great many things, but his ability to manipulate was always his own. Good. Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because...
Because I doubted you? I needed to know it wasn't because, after everything you'd learned, you'll still rather believe in a lie. If that is the conclusion people reach once they know everything, then my purpose has been a mistake. That seems a harsh connection to draw.
You were a blank slate to me once. A blank slate that I had taught the wrong things. I'd given you a false faith. I had to know I could undo what I had done. Redirect you to embrace the truth. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who?
You're never going to be able to convince everyone of anything, true or not. There will always be dissent.
I expected dissent, but I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. It was all I could do to feel like there was an answer. Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know. Nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions, and that will have to do. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
I see the world differently now that I once did. I regret what I did to you, and wish your forgiveness.
There is nothing to forgive. The fault was always mine. I led you down the path that led to Thaos. When I tried to steer you back, it was too late. To have taught someone wrong is far worse than to have done wrong yourself. Long have I wished to make amends for this, but the time has long since passed. At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish, but now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Thaos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. And it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Thaos himself will satisfy your needs. Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
Are you bound here until the end of time?
In a matter of speaking. This is Breath Yamen, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they receive leniency, but not true mercy. The spite of Woodica is eternal. They linger above, at the side of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition, but time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Thaos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
The gods aid me because they want Thaos destroyed. I owe them no debt.
They aid you because they would bend you to their own purposes. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end.
Why don't you repent? You could be free of this place.
Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine. There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life, but that trial was my one moment of certainty, even without a chorus of gods to tell me I had been right. The gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will. I will remain here until the world crumbles and fades from existence, with joy in my heart, knowing I've shown them what they truly are.
This place, Shining Shadow, what is it? I could tell you what I believe, but again, it would be no proof. I have only what I have seen, and what others have told me about it. There is only one man who can tell you now. Who knows it to a certainty, and you shall face him soon enough. I will leave you to see it for yourself. Make your own judgments. Better for your soul than way, I think. Better for your soul that way, I think. How is it you speak Ediran? I speak no language now, but the wordless expressions of the spirit. It is through my connection to you that I am able to draw upon your words and form them as my own. Do you know what it is I need from Thaos?
I could not say for sure, but you have been to Sun and Shadow before, and it came at a crossroads in your life, when much of what you knew had been upended. I have to believe it will come to you there. Your concerns then were of loyalty and trust and the gods. Everything I told you seemed to send you further into doubt. His words mattered to you when you knew him then. After you and I spoke, you went immediately to seek him out. Perhaps you simply sought confirmation from the man you trusted. If something from that time still troubles you, it may be something he told you then, or refused to tell you. He keeps secrets better than any in this world.
Why has Thaos done all this?
He cares only for the secret he keeps locked away. He destroys anyone who might discover it, no matter their chances. That's why he's always favored Woodica. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules. Her willingness to do what is necessary. To Thaos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as hers. And she wants that secret guarded as much as he. If Thaos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods. Woodica was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this infusion, there is no telling what she will do. The only certainty is that there will be chaos in their realm, as well as ours.
How can I get Thaos to tell me what I need to know?
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Aeora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides. But I see you have become a watcher in this life. Perhaps in defeat, when he can no longer defend himself, you might learn something from him.
It's time for me to go.
Thaos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
The gods have given me the souls of their forgiven. If you repent, you could join with them. Help me strike the final blow against Thaos.
If I repent, all I have done has meant nothing.
Then I will waste no more time. Forever, Yovara.
For my part in leading you to Thaos in the very beginning, I hope you can forgive me. I hope whatever final guidance I've given you here proves more useful. If ever we should meet again, in this life or any other, I hope to find you at peace.
Okay. Let's just quick save after that long speech and talk, and we'll see what Thaos has to say.
Let's see what lies this way.
The pillar looks at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it. Okay, there are two bad guys.
Braved out.
So let's finish them. And do it again this way.
Yes?
You do this.
Spot on!
I have. Braved out the
More traps.
Got it done. That'll do.
Level 14. That was the strongest trap so far which I have disarmed. And this is the only way to go. So let's get there. Oh,
So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years.
Let's talk to Eder first and then to Aloth.
Doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war?
People were starving. They'd have been rebuilt sooner or later.
I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
He looks down at the ground, drumming his fingers against his side restlessly. When he speaks again, it seems half to himself.
I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will.
What about?
About him going off to war. He was set on it. My parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, you only get the one. Now, me, I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field.
So, if you'd left with him, you'd have known why he changed his mind.
If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bothered thinking about it. He asked me to trust him the day he left. Said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path. And he deserved that. He deserved that trust from me. Raid Saris is a long way to walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey. Even knowing how it ended.
Do you think he went to Waidwen because of what you say to him?
Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
Let's be on our way.
Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on then. I still owe you one.
Silence surrounds me.
Okay, let's talk to Aloth before moving downstairs.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
People need something to believe in. The gods, however, they came to be, have served that purpose.
I'm surprised to hear you say this. It seems that much harm comes from imposing authority where perhaps none is needed. We've seen the atrocities that members of the Leaden Key have committed without even understanding why or for whom they act.
For once, the half-souled elf is right. To live in ignorance is to allow the gods to have their way with us.
I've also been thinking. There won't be much left of Thaos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the leaden key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way.
Hmm. I agree.
Then let's face Thaos. When this is all over, I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again. Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Well, I don't know if that was the right answer, but we'll see. The soul given to me by gods have illuminated a path through the darkness of this place. Thaos lies somewhere ahead. So the four lighty
freshly greased.
things which I thought was some wisp are the lights of gods.
Oh? Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we note a rather sharp drop somewhere around here?
Okay.
Certainly.
Let's see and slowly get on our way. Ring of searing flames?
Full of surprises, aren't you?
Look at that. A city to put all others to shame. And long lost.
I would have brought a torch if you'd asked.
We light our own path now, Watcher.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
Funny. But at least there is light here now.
I'll keep an eye out.
Let's see. Diamond. Boots of speed. And wit and shade.
Brave thou fields.
Gotta try something
Yes, something else it is then.
else.
Pathfinding again. Well, but still better than Baldur's Gate.
Let's see what lies this way.
Topaz. So looks like it will happen for you, Adair.
You gotta see this.
So be sure to keep your eyes clear now. So let's check this one first before moving anywhere else. Chalky bits of bone breaks away between your fingers. A shadow drake. Okay. Let's get here first. Here. Let's do this and that was fast.
To whispers and shadows.
Braces of deflection. I have better at the moment. What's this? The shadows in the cavern suddenly lengthen and swallow you. When your eyes adjust to the darkness, you find yourself in the midst of what must be another vision. You are surrounded by mists. The ground feels springy under your feet. You imagine that as soon as you take a step, the soil behind you will erase all trace of your passage. As if on cue, the mists before you clear just enough for you to take a couple steps forward. You do, and the fog closes behind you. You continue for several minutes in this manner, one step at a time, never seizing more than the ground right in front of you. Eventually, rays of light cut through the haze, and you find yourself facing a canyon wall. Duran's head twitches, as though a mosquito has flown into his ear. He swings haphazardly at the air with his staff. Something whizzes past you. Just as you turn, you catch another whirl of movement. Out of the mist flits a shape, small and round. You think you see another and another. They tickle the corners of your vision. You turn back to the canyon wall. The sun shifts along its path, and what looked like a smooth rock face is the hollow of a cave. A figure steps out, its features shifting and changing before your eyes. He who sees and is not seen. Say, when he chooses, it seems. Kana regards the figure with very fascination. I thought the god of mystery is my chief enemy at times, but one cannot seek out answers if the questions aren't there. The figure transformed from male to female, from Orlan to Amoa, its bones lengthening and its fur receding into its flesh. The only detail that remains constant is the smooth, eyeless face. The whizzing, rushing shapes from the mist coverage on the figure, and as they form a spinning cloud, you realize that they are eyes.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher, a buried scroll, a hidden truth. These are my ways. You unravel a thread, Watcher, one you have lost and discovered over generations, and following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
The eyes struck you even as they circle the god. Have I been here before? Well, giggles, a strangely modulated sound that rises and falls as the god shifts from one form to the next. Your search for answers to your past has led you to another mystery, and one grander still. These mysteries don't matter to me, I just want to keep my own soul from unraveling. Yet, as you sought this goal, your foes have pursued another.
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
Thunder clouds from overhead, casting shadows of movement across the canyon. According to Hyla, it's possible to restore them to Hollowburn.
A song the world knows and tires of. The droning chorus repeated again and again. Better the improvised melody, the unfolding chant. The listeners sit rapt, and just when they think they have the tune, it changes again. Even the gods require fresh mysteries.
The clouds break, and the torrent of rain washes Wales' features clean. His blank face molds itself again, taking on the shape of something you've never seen before. Do not consign the souls of the fate of some god's choosing. You have found them. No, scatter them across existence, their destination known to neither god nor mortal. Let them be lost again. New answers, new riddles. Behind him, the sudden downpour has carved new caves into the canyon. You say I shouldn't let the god decide their fate, but it seems you're asking me to do just that.
In a way. But something must be done, and hurling them from the machinery of other schemes is the truest course of action.
But what would happen to the soul?
None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery.
What end would that serve?
No end, Watcher. That is the purpose.
Forever, well.
That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Shadows from the new caves melt and spread across the landscape, covering you in darkness. When the light returns, the vision is gone. Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to check. The new skill. Sever the soul? Is that it? No. What was that? What? I gained from the steps to the wheel. This is. The Watcher gives his or her foes a glimpse into an afterlife by displacing their souls, momentarily poising them and leaving them sickened. Interesting.
Silence surrounds me.
So, one more skill. Okay, I want to get there. A long segment of the bridge rises over the ruins of an ancient city. It looks stable enough but the wide gap leaves little room for error. Jump to the freestanding segment. Mamulian gets a running start and leaps over the gap. However, Mamulian cries out upon landing and collapses on the other side in a tangle of limbs. A twisted ankle. Boo-hoo.
I'll see what I can find.
Oh. Nothing special. And that's why I destroyed my ankle. Twisted my ankle. Boo-hoo. The edge of the bridge is dark against the glowing city below. A draft rises from the depths, cool against your skin. Jump to the other side. Mamulian misjudges the distance and falls short. Mamulian manages to grab the jutting lip of the bridge, legs dangling over empty space with a painful gasp. Mamulian climps to safety. And sprained wrist. Okay. Perfect.
I shall be discreet.
Thankfully, I'm a ranged guy. A court. And more shades. Uh-oh, this one is bigger. Oh, we'll see. Let's do this. Let's use this.
What? Suck it!
No. Let's use this.
Lavaru, be on seek!
And this.
Lavaru, be...
And this.
Aztec, worth and wrath!
Doors. What kind of doors? Let's check this areas first before moving there.
Brave Thaos.
Gotta try something else!
Not even slowing.
Good thing I'm freshly greased.
Certainly.
That's it. No hidden stuff. Looks like not.
Margren's fire casts light in dark places.
Silence surrounds me.
Okay, so the only possible way to move forward is through the door. So, let's go there.
Hello? Hello?
Sun in shadow. So, let's get to the machine. So many destroyed souls.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
Yes?
Nothing? No.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well.
Laying low.
What's that build of power? Mind and resolve. Yeah, he's using it. Okay, we have better.
I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Laying low.
Don't you say. Just in case, quick save.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was.
Let's see what lies this way.
Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders.
Hello? Hello?
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
Let's see what lies this way.
I have reached the Angvitan machine I saw in my dreams. Thousands of their wooden souls have been drawn to it. Thaos cannot be far. Let's see. Well, I bet there is nothing hidden here anymore, but you never know. I'm just... The statue is warm to the touch. You come to a circular room, grand and domed, its walls lined with Adra and trimmed with copper. At the far end, a great pillar of Adra pierces the floor from below like a ragged spike, its shimmering textures giving the illusion of boundless depth. Your thoughts are yours and not yours, and they are all questions. At the base of the pillar stands Thaos, a look of concern on his face as he notes you approach. You have something you want to ask him, one question above all others, spinning madly in your mind, but you don't dare ask it yet. You need some admission from him first, some hint of the veracity of your suspicions.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
Your mind races, weighing different angles of approach, your emotion barely in check. Was Yovara telling the truth? No. Was the entire Inquisition based on a lie?
The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
Was Yovara telling the truth?
That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build.
That machine behind you, what does it do?
It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it.
All these statues, who are they of?
They are monuments to Woodika's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete.
What is this place?
We are in a sanctum holy to Woodika. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me.
You are shaking now, having lost all the patience to protect. No more evasions. You have to know everything you believed, everything you have done for the gods. Did you lie to me when you said the gods could end suffering? Thaos says nothing. Are there no gods?
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
With Thaos, every word you find yourself losing control of a boiling cauldron of rage and doubt and fear and hopelessness, until you can take it no more. Are there no gods?
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
His eyes linger on you, and there is no mistaking the threat behind it. And your rage shrinks as the image of an iron wheel in your mind, monolithic and caked with the dried blood of thousands. You do not ask your questions again.
How did you find it?
I didn't. It was Lady Webb.
Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason.
She loved you? No. It was a reason that guided her hand in this.
Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect.
Blind obedience is a lot to ask of someone with a mind of their own.
What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own? You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
Eder frowns irritated.
We were being invaded, not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
Well, they made cake. And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased. You have devoted yourself to studying the work of my people. Why?
I thought your people had much to teach us. That we too could create great machines, improve our ships, make an empire as vast and impressive as yours ever was, built upon your secrets.
And did you ever consider that these were things you were never meant to understand? That their comprehension is beyond you?
I know better. The Induitans weren't an infallible race. You were never gods. All your petty experiments, your heinous crimes, your glorious achievements. You were just people, and your crime came and went. Anguith is a lesson now, for those who remain.
You are living in the time of my people, Amawa. You owe them more than you will ever comprehend, and so it shall ever be. Greater civilizations than yours have attempted to reclaim what we buried. The greater their successes, the worse their fates in the end. I have seen to it.
Duran stares at Thaos with a beast snarl. Thaos watches him calmly.
You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Yet the other builders were slain, 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
Whatever desire I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Thaos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe. And I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
My name belonged to the gods and my hand to their service. No more.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
And I should have done it years before. I'd rather live in uncertainty than servitude.
And that uncertainty would lead you where it leads everyone. To doubt, to emptiness, to the many cruelties inspired by disbelief. You will have to forgive your Grandmaster for remaining skeptical of his initiate's choices.
Thaos returns the Devil of Karok stare with contempt. He shakes his head.
A murderer given life beyond her body. Beyond her own selfish purpose. My dear, you embody the very reasons Kith should not play with the tools of the gods.
Last I checked, it was your gods who set us up to destroy each other.
Your city was spared by a god. It was destroyed by Kith, who took matters into their own hands. Such are the excesses my order seeks to correct.
By tearing the souls out of little babies? That's some strong medicine.
Strong and lasting, the way it must be. We do not indulge the whims of bloodlust as you do. All we do is for the sake of a cure. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
He directs his gaze at you.
I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
I lived my life by the lies you told. You owe me the truth.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
You have lied to everyone, yourself most of all.
I have no illusions about the costs involved. But what your brief lifespan obscures is that it is what must be done. The heart of this country has skipped a beat, nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Thaos into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
Nothing could justify these atrocities.
That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
The spark of false hope.
There is no false hope. Only hope for things that never come. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust.
Your way comes at too great a cost.
It is the least of all possible costs. Are you so dense as to think a faithless world would not be ridden with calamity? All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
You are blind to think yours is the only way. You are controlled by your own doubts.
We are all controlled by our own doubts. Better that we should be relieved of them. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid.
Ooh. Judge and headsman. Okay, let's get to Thaos and you go try to tank him maybe.
Hey.
Let's try to stun him. Good. Thaos is stunned. And
Spot on!
oh, he went to the judge. Okay, let's try to kill the headsman first. Then...
Hey.
Hmm.
Not even.
Let's go here and...
That's not very good.
Let's try if we can be knocked down. Yes, but the wrong one is...
Gotta try.
I have.
Let's use this. And...
Following your lead.
That's not very helpful.
Sacrifice.
Okay, the first one is down. Let's try to finish him. And...
Stand.
and one more.
Not even slaughter.
And let's go against Thaos again. What we need to do is maybe something like this. Uh-oh, not good. You are shocked. Let's see if we can use this.
Stand.
Good. Oh, I love it when this happens. You are stunned again. Shit. Bubble yourself. No, I hate when they switch to melee. And you are again. Let's see if you can revive them both. For fuck's sake! You used the spell right at the worst possible time. Three of them are down. For fuck's sake. And let's do this. Shit. This doesn't end well. Let's revive them. Huh. Heal yourself. What the hell? Why are you still dying? As soon as he stands up, he will get obliterated. Let's try this.
Sure.
What the hell happened with Adair? Let's try this. Cleansing fire. For fuck's sake.
Yes?
This is wrong on so many
I could use a weekend.
fronts. Let's do this, and you Kana is not selectable? Nope. For fuck's sake. Hmm.
Levaru Blast! Artek Woods.
Let's do this. And you can finally move. So let's do this.
Artek Woods and Roar!
Start again. Perfect. What the fuck?
Artek Woods and Roar! Artek Thaos.
Let's hit him this, and you cancel out. Maybe try to kill.
Beyond sea.
Unbelievable.
I'd welcome some rest.
At your feet rests the body of Thaos. Hello. The dense wrinkles shaded by the silent shouldering of an eternal burden now smooth across his cold-drained face. His soul remains still for the moment. Defenseless, his energy expended in defeat, it lies sprawled across his body, like a death shroud.
All those lifetimes spent to preserve a single vital secret. I would expect a man to reconsider his choices after the first 500 years.
That's the servant down, and the mistress still to go. A good start, worthy of being built upon.
He was good at serving his god, I give him that. He should have picked a better one.
He spent his lives, more than any of us will ever know. For what? Binding the world to a lie. Could a man like that ever be redeemed?
Think he got sick of it all after a couple thousand years? Or did Woodica keep him on the leash?
Explore Thaos' soul. With a deep breath, you plunge into Thaos' souls, and where, in Brackenbury, it had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it is expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of Anguith. As you pass through them, you travel for what seems like ages, rushing to a known destination, a memory you glimpsed once before. At last, you see it no more than pinprick of light at the end of long tunnel, expanding slowly at first, then quickly as you near. You come out in the room as you are standing in now, but it is new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them, all turned towards the great Edra pillar and the machine that encases it. Thaos stands at the machine, and you are the one with him now. You look out at the crowd, at faces of shriveled old men and cherub-cheeked little girls, at mothers bouncing infants to quiet them, and fathers clasping their children's restless hands and watching you with somber acceptance. A woman with tears in her eyes gives you a small nod. You turn back towards the machine, your breath constricted beneath the weights of unwanted knowledge, preparing yourself to set out alone on a journey without end. You close your eyes and open them again to feel the machine still in front of you. Beckoning, you take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column and speak a single word. Giant rings creak to life, building speed, setting arrays of colored draconic mouths aglow and sending tremors through the platform beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of the accelerating machine, all sounds drowned by its deep, deafening thrum. Brilliant tendrils of light arc towards from the pillar in all directions, and you look over your shoulder to see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. One by one, the tendrils disappear, leaving ashen effigies where people once stood, many of them disintegrating into grey heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look about to the other pillar. In a glowing spherical mass has begun to coalesce, set up the column where the arcs converge. It grows and pulses, translucent and bulbous like some immense chrysalis suspended in slow rotation, as though it were being spun from the arcs of light. When the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs a moment, no longer rotating. So bright you must shield your eyes with an outstretched hand, and it seems as though it is looking at you. You bow your head in acknowledgement and look back to see it melt into the pillar like warm candle wax. The pillar flares with a flash of light bright as the sun itself, then fades to darkness. The machine slows down to an abrupt halt, and when the last echo of its grinding cogs has passed, the chamber is still, and you are alone. From all sides, reality begins to bleach in through the memory, and you find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down on Thaos' lifeless body. You sense a littleness to Thaos' soul, an overwhelming fatigue that hinders its immediate escape and makes it vulnerable to manipulation. You feel as though your victory has given you some kind of hold over it, and you are able to do with it as you please. Returning to the cycle. Or tear his soul. Vanishing soul. And destroy all memories contained within. Or tear his soul apart. Huh. Let's return to the cycle.
To apply the teachings of Durance would more immediately satisfy the cravings in my bones. But this is the stronger lesson, for his soul is already marked by his own hand.
I suppose we'll see if he can rise above that.
You can feel the pull of the intricate ether capillaries that rise up from the depths below the chamber. Many are bound up with the great pillar and would post to Vodica, but some are filled with the souls of the dead, bound for somewhere else entirely, and you know these are paths of rebirth. Stretching your presence as far as your spirit will allow, you make contact with one such path, and between it and yourself you open up what feels like a long tunnel, sheer and undulating like the gullet of some enormous beast. You shift focus to Thaos' soul, clinging weakly to its vanquished shell, and with all your concentration you wrench it free and send it hurtling through the channel until it passes into the other vein and can be felt no more. In the stillness that follows, a single word echoes through your mind, a word you spoke when you were one with Thaos in an ancient memory. You realize it is the word that activates the machine. Well, looks like Elot is no longer prone, but there is enemy. Woohoo. So let's talk with the guys.
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were a field in need of a flame's cleansing. Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of durance nor of Margarin. But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A god's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
Yes?
Right here.
Well, let's talk to Devil Jazz in
That was
case.
a fine bout of murdering. Shame you've already got the gods yammering their fancies in your ear.
She looks around the cavernous chamber as if daring them to counter.
You somehow sniff out the best in folk. But don't let the gods dupe you. They'll use you up just like they did Thaos.
So, even Devil had some dialogue, although it was not shown.
We've come to the end of it, my friend. It has been an honor to walk this road with you, and I will regret our parting.
All the hard-won lessons have survived. I will carry back with me to Ruatai. I'll try to justify your story. It's both stranger and more exciting than anything I could have conjured up. Victory agrees with you, Mamulian. You look as if a great weight has lifted from your shoulders. I'm glad for it. Kana studies you for a moment, then smiles. Aloth?
Astounding. I always knew the leaden key stood for something big, but I didn't quite realize what I'd gotten myself into. And now, you're in the middle of something even bigger. The decision that will affect millions. But even if you send the souls somewhere specific now, who knows what the next turn of the wheel will make of them? We can't really control what happens to them. Nor should we try. I had to see the monster Thaos had become to realize that.
I won't leave something this important up to chance.
It's your decision, of course. And whatever you decide, I'm glad our paths crossed in Gilded Vale.
And how the hell I get rid of the red cross on Adair?
Thaos. He had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
I got an answer to an old question.
Those can be hard to come by. I feel for people still looking for theirs. Easy to see what it means to them to have someone to look to for answers. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that?
Yes.
Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place. So folks could get back to believing what they used to. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
Well, I hope this, if he is not back on my will, that does not change the ending forever or something wrong.
Hey.
But I can use everything, so probably it's just a bug because no one wants to fight with him. Well, let's see.
Certainly.
What will happen. Interesting that he is trying to kill the console hot skull. Lol. Let's just quick save it here. With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where Thaos once stood, before his people long ago. The great machine lies in front of you, idle, ready. You have seen this machine and others like it in operation. You understand how it works. It is a device for directing souls. As a watcher, it would be simple matter to influence that direction, though as big as the machine is, it may be the last thing you ever do. Speak the command to activate the machine. There is a shrieking of stone grinding against the stone as old cogs loosen and begin to turn. You have only moments before the souls will be sent into the other vein. This will be your only chance at redirecting them. Okay, so this should be Hylia. Return the souls to the bodies they were intended for. You close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking in the immense totality of the tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is tenuous. You find yourself fighting to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. Congratulations, you have won the game. A brief moment comes when it feels as though you hold all of them at once, and their force is so great it feels as though they will tear you apart. And at that moment, you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale, pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Thaos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Thaos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the souls diverted by Thaos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollow-born children woke to the cries of their infants and looked into their eyes to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren or even Aethys for their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of Hollowborn had died during Wideone's legacy, many by their parents' own hands. For those children, there would be no homecoming. Yet the last Hollow birth was in the past now, and those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins. Many felt they saw Helia's hand in it, and the year would be remembered as the year of Helia's splendor. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But once the dozens had regrouped in the wake of the riots, they quickly put an end to the criminal activity. They patrolled the streets in droves and administered their brand of law on any perceived offenders. This was not the erratic justice of the mob, however. The dozens had taken to heart the strengths of their adversaries, the Knights of the Crucible, and emerged as a far more organized, disciplined force. With the waning strength of the other Defiance Bay powers, the leadership of the dozens took the opportunity to establish its own group as the dominant peacekeeping force in the city. The dozens would soon find themselves overwhelmed by the problems of a leaderless metropolis. But they found an uneasy new partner in the surviving forces of the Crucible Knights, who understood the city's infrastructure and were able to keep the worst of its problems under control. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night, and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay. But those who had escaped the melee and the palace hearings remembered the testimonies of the strange guest who had shown up that day and absolved animancy, implicating the Leaden Key instead. The rumor spread quickly, and soon the popular belief was that the assassin had been a Leaden Key spy. When the legacy had lifted, people came to see it not as a sign that the riots had been according to the gods' wishes, as Thaos had hoped, but as a confirmation that animancy had never been the source of the problem in the first place. Deerwoodans instead convinced themselves that the riots had somehow purged Defiance Bay of Leaden Key spies, and that the end of Widewind's legacy was their well-deserved reward. The rage against animancers was quickly forgotten, and those who had survived were permitted to return to Brackenbury Sanitarium and rebuild it so they might resume their studies. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. Abidun's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Abidun's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Engwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Aer Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, the Battle of Caeron's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Raid Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russet Wood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter alliance with their ogre neighbors. Within a generation, ogre traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the Russet Wood. Releasing Harmka left the Devil of Carrick with a gnawing dissatisfaction that continued to eat at her long after the Watcher confronted Thaos. She resumed her search for the men and women who had raised Cold Morn, clinging to the hope that enacting her revenge might one day allow her to feel something. Yet, as she hunted and killed, the futility of her actions grew like a leaden weight in her gut. Her movements grew stiff and sluggish as her zeal deserted her. One day, she found herself surrounded in Maiden Falls. As she tried to fight back against the villagers, she felt her arms stick in their sockets and her legs buckle beneath her. The villagers tore her body apart and shattered its segments while she screamed, feeling none of it. Zawa came to believe that the Dakan had survived through him. He returned to Ishamadal, where he united a number of small, vulnerable tribes under the beliefs of his people. He called them Takanakin, kin of Takan, and under his tutelage, they became strong enough to resist would-be conquerors. Zawa taught his secrets not to one chosen person, but to all, that the line of knowledge might never be broken. Once Maneha had made peace with her memory, she decided the time had come to face her more recent past. For the first time in decades, she returned home to Rawatai, and she found that it had changed as much as she had. New districts had sprung up along the coast, while others withered into crumbling husks, and the streets had changed their course as surely as rivers. Her parents wept with joy at her return. They still ran the old spice shop, and in its many aromas and flavors, she found memories of the places she'd traveled and the people she'd known. She told her story, bottle by bottle, and began to build a life on the soil she knew best. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodinians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. The Audra dragon known as the Master Below, her soul now housed in the body of the huntress Fallen Roet, passed out of Deerwood in relative anonymity, her final destination unknown, even to herself. She was last seen in the port town of Rhodes End, boarding a ship, an Audra talisman glowing about her neck. Palagina had gone against the Duke Spell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Deerwooden market. With the Deerwood's people still weakened by Weidman's legacy, the Valian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Valian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went. With your business concluded, Haravius quietly took his leave and headed home to Thane Bog. The elders of the Fisher Crane had not warmed to Haravius in his absence, and when he arrived, he was denounced and scorned. Haravius spoke of his deeds and of his communion with Galawain, yet none would support his petition to return to the tribe. One by one, starting with the oldest, Haravius challenged each member of the council to single combat, humiliating the Riau in a series of savage duels. With half the council bloodied and shamed, the elders at last acknowledged Haravius' strength, announcing him a hunter of the Fisher Crane tribe. Upon being granted this title, Haravius calmly left the village and embarked again on his life of wandering. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Through a number of quiet inquiries, he soon found his way into the underground organization of Aethasians known as the Night Market. Ironically, in learning that the gods had been fabricated, Adair found his faith in Aethus renewed, and that his god was neither alive nor truly a god had become irrelevant. He rose quickly through the ranks of the Night Market for his optimism and for his bold leadership, his ultimate goal to make the Deerwood a place that would welcome followers of the Shining God once again. When the dust settled in Sun and Shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Thaos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grand Master had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Thaos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Thaos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With both their aims fulfilled, Kanarua bid the Watcher farewell and sailed back to his beloved Rawatai. There, he reported on his findings to the Lore College. Kana spoke of the Engwithan people, describing both their vile experiments and their inspiring accomplishments. He spoke too of the destruction of the tablet by the Leaden Key, and the group's efforts to erase the Engwithan legacy from the world. Both inspiration and cautionary tales, he said, could be found in the world beyond Rawatai's borders. Kana urged his people to continue to pursue knowledge abroad so that the lessons found there might benefit Tekoa. Kana's inability to prove his theory of Engwithan influence diminished his academic standing, but his passion drew much interest from those less concerned with degrees. Kana swiftly became an influential figure in the move toward a more collaborative approach to expansion on the northern continent. In his personal life, he came to enjoy the reputation of an affable eccentric, willing to share grand and impossible secrets, along with a drink and a song. With Thaos defeated and the souls released from Sun and Shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Deerford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Deerwood and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durrance used Magrin's strength only until Thaos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. In her 4-month journey back to Nositoc, Sagani found that the landscape she traveled had become strangely colorless, the food bland and unsatisfying. She watched the Deerwood, Air Glonfoth, the Valian Republics, and the lands beyond slide by with a dull sense of dread. She returned home to great celebration, yet the words of joy and congratulations rang hollow to her. Old beloved songs sounded toneless. The rituals of changing seasons became drudgery, and Sagani experienced her life back in Masuk as if in someone else's skin. So she fought to feel the worth of her actions, or at least to let her village feel them. She led ever longer and more ambitious hunts, mentoring the younger rangers who followed her. On one such expedition, her party was beset by a blizzard, and she pressed on where her companions turned back. She did not return to Masuk. For you, the death of Thaos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
And that was it. The game is finished, and I got 2 bad endings with Sagani and Devil of Karok, so I'm more than satisfied, but a little bit sad that I was not able to get good ending for everyone in there. So yeah, I tried different kind of playthrough maybe in a year or 2 when I will play the game second time for some different achievements. I still need to kill the 2 dragons, the other one and the Hylia one, which I was not able to fight. I tried to go as much peacefully as possible during this playthrough. Anyway, thanks for being here with me. If you like the game, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I don't have Twitter. Follow me on Twitch and Mixer, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be playing some new game very soon, in a day or 2, but probably a little bit shorter because this was more than 160 hours before I finished that. So enjoy and see you soon.